I'm
Why?
ticked off because Sir Timothy Berners-Lee, the fake
Oh, yeah.
inventor of the World Wide Web, has ticked me off with his stupid CIA propaganda that I needed to call you and have you verify that my imaginative picture of what I think is going on may or may not be correct, because you are the expert on this. So I just want to paint a little picture here of what I think is going on. How come we haven't heard? First off, he works in cyclotrons. Why did he invent the World Wide Web? It's complete nonsense that he invented the World Wide Web. He did not. That is where the rogue CIA works out of, in Switzerland, at the CERN headquarters. And it is the $5 trillion project, the largest amount of money ever spent on science, and yet we have absolutely zero to show from their research. As a matter of fact, the last time that they thought that they had cornered the God particle there at CERN in Switzerland, they found out that NSA, when they looked at it, said, the NSA and NASA both looked at the data and said it is absolute garbage. It is a fake. And Sir Timothy Lee did not invent the World Wide Web. That is a lie. And to now say that he, above a boxing gym, is working with a little company that's going to now change the internet overnight, to me that is a signal that Eric Schmidt is ready to go from Google to Alphabet and to put you in your digital prison, your dark profile that they've been creating for you. So I think Timothy Berners-Lee is a liar, and he's getting ready to now create the replacement for Google and the lie of the replacement of the internet, because he wants to say, first off, his lie that there was a World Wide Web. Remember the lie that went along with that? That there is no location that actually holds it. There's no wires that actually run it. It's all on the millions and millions of computers out there in the world, and they're all talking to each other, and nobody owns the lines, and nobody owns the internet, and there is no central place where there's any memory, and there are no central switches, and there's nothing. There's no routers. There's no nothing. It exists on your computer and all the millions of other computers. That was the lie they told us. Now he says he wants to create a decentralized internet. Now, wait, that's what he said to begin with. It was decentralized. Now he says he's going to transform it and make it the opposite and make it decentralized. Michael, could you straighten me out on this, please?
Okay, I hope as a human race we are ready to stop listening to these dog whistles. Because that's all that is a dog whistle. And by that I mean the tech left knows the kinds of messages that will get conservative people to jump and to believe what they're saying. But if you believe what he just asserted, then I've got some really cheap swampland in Florida to sell you. Because nothing of the scale that they're talking about radical changes in the structure of the internet. Well, anytime I think you see radical or transformative or re-engineered, you need to run the other way. Because that's nothing but a dog whistle for people that they know don't understand about technology, so they don't know whether it's true or not. And so they're going to give the benefit. Honest people will give people the benefit of the doubt when they make statements like that. But if you think about it, that is such a ludicrous concept that, oh, by the way, he's going to start it next month. Isn't that interesting timing?
Oh, he's
right before the election.
Like dude Zuckerberg invented Facebook in a weekend.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. So look how I hope everyone will remember back when the Social Network movie came out, and the book before that was called The Facebook Effect, which were two pieces of pure propaganda. Hollywood and the tech left and the bankers put that out there as the story for the foundations of Facebook, and like a dog whistle, the entire public believed it, including people that shouldn't have believed it. And it was when we saw that come out, we realized it took us 750,000 lines of code and 145,000 man hours to build it. And then we're hearing this claim, people are hearing this claim on that movie that Zuckerberg did it while he's studying for finals in the spring of 2003 at Harvard. He did it in a couple of weeks while he was drinking beer. I mean, it's just ridiculous how badly that story was told, and yet, look, everyone believed it. Well, now we've got another one where we've got somebody that is a known CIA operative, Sir Tim, and he's now coming out with this announcement right before the election that he's going to completely satisfy all the concerns that everybody has about the insecure internet and the way everybody's getting spied upon. That's nothing but a look to third so the guy doesn't steal home. It can't happen that way. If people just actually use their brain and think about it for a second, they need to realize, think about all of the cables and wires and satellites and software and hardware that has been used to build up this thing we call the internet over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and recognize that nothing in that environment can be changed quickly. It's all sitting on top of what came before it. If you introduce any kind of change into that kind of electronic system without massive amounts of testing, you're going to break it. You're going to cause it to completely fail. And any software person knows that, but people who don't know software don't have any idea whether it's easy or hard to make these kind of changes. And so for this supposed press release by Sir Tim to introduce a radical change in the internet next month is preposterous. I'll stop there.
Oh, Michael, he says that he worked on it for 9 months by himself before, all of a sudden he decided in 2 weeks he can get it together. So what you're basically saying is my digital sniffing may be correct. This is probably the opposite of what he's saying it is?
Yes, I'm sure he's not doing anything. Because to do what he's saying that quickly by himself is a stupid notion. And yet, so I hope the American public and the world public is no longer fooled by these dog whistles. These are memes. This is brainwashing stuff. It's not true. It can't be true. Any engineer who would actually think about it would acknowledge that it can't be true. It's too difficult to build something of a global scale overnight. It took the current internet 20, 30, 40 years to get where it is. It's not going to be changed quickly.
I suggest, now that I'm thinking about it in my imaginative mind, that he is predicting okay, so if we take the propaganda that he is predicting, it says it's going to be decentralized, it's going to be pushed out. Well, that sounds like the Internet of Things, which then leads to the remote, aggressive control of everything through the Richard C. Walker Internet of Things patent, and basically Axiom. For instance, sorry, Sir Timothy, you can't really do anything because all of the certificate authorities and all the encryption certificates are all owned by a company that charges a tax. And so without Hillary getting her tax, I'm afraid, Sir Timothy, you're just not going to get anywhere because there are systems already in place.
What's happening is the opposite of what he's saying. But he knows that whoever wrote this for him, knows that the saying the opposite usually becomes a dog whistle that the conservative people will follow and give you the benefit of the doubt. We should not do that. We should stop doing that. Stop listening to these dog whistles.
And the dogs blowing them, like a dude Zuckerberg or a Peter Thiel or any of them. When you're looking, or even Bill Gates, who did not write the programming that he says that he didn't write it at all. And when you look at, say, Steve Jobs,
his mom was working for IBM.
Yes, she was actually on the board. And when they said they needed someone to write the code to turn MS-DOS into something more friendly, she says, "Oh, we'll use my son. My son will do it. He'll get his friend." And they went in their garage as usual, just like good old Sir Timothy is upstairs above a boxing gym, a stinking, disgusting boxing gym, reworking the entire internet, the most amazing thing ever created in human technology. Now, I want to go back and point out that those dogs blowing those dog whistles, those are a bunch of fake cardboard cutout Silicon Valley tech lords who are only the tools of In-Q-Tel and Highlands Forum and DARPA and SAIC and Leidos and Lockheed Martin's intelligence division. And it's the same old story. Now we're going to see this one guy who all of a sudden changes the way that we do everything on the internet. No, that just means that Eric Schmidt is ready to go, and that's going to be his new puppet, because Eric Schmidt is not a cardboard cutout. He is pure digital evil, technological warlord, maybe unsurpassed in our time in terms of who's ripping people off the best. So I think that basically Sir Timothy came to America from working on the greatest cyclotron in the world. By the way, you know that cyclotron, the 3 that are supposedly at CERN in Switzerland, there's only one. And now they're going to build one 10 times bigger than the previous one, which was the largest amount of money spent on any mechanical device in human history. And now they're going to spend $50 trillion on the next one, which, by the way, will not exist. It is a myth. It will not exist. They dug all
Douglas,
those tunnels.
All of that funny money floating around in offshore bank accounts needs a place to go. Come on.
That's exactly.
Let them do that.
You've nailed it. When Switzerland was busted for having their numbered accounts by America, and they no longer could keep them secret, they went to numbered gold bullion accounts, and now they keep it in the gold bullion vault right at the Zurich airport. But at the same time, as you say, they needed to slush that money around in offshore accounts and in hidden accounts and in tax-free accounts and tax shelters and tax havens, all illegal. And so what did they do? They poured the money into CERN, which has had absolutely... I want to qualify that. There are 4 pits that they dug as part of this second and third cyclotrons, and in those pits they actually do real scientific studies, and they do collect neutrinos, and they collect all kinds of other things, but they are not part of the cyclotron. That is a lie. There was no dirt, there was no excavation, there was nobody screaming that they were digging what could be a fusion reaction explosion underneath their house. No one ever said a word about that in any of the countries that those cyclotrons go through. So Sir Timothy Berners-Lee, you are a liar. You worked for an organization called CERN that's a liar. You lied about picking up In-Q-Tel's World Wide Web, which was nothing more than when the rogue CIA said, let's see if we can sucker in people and corporations into this PSYOPs experiment that was an In-Q-Tel incubated private corporation that worked with government and U.S. taxpayer dollars to begin with, right? And so then what happens? When those companies get so big that their criminality is known, they're simply going to collapse. And overnight, a new company will take its place, like Google will collapse. $8 billion they had to pay in fines in the recent legal mess they were in Europe. Here in America, they got $2 billion in fines in Australia. They're going to go down. And when they go down, overnight, Eric Schmidt's new company is going to take its place, Alphabet. And Berners-Lee will take over the internet, who supposedly owns and runs the internet, which is all a lie anyway. We've pointed that out so many times. It's the U.S. taxpayers who own the friggin' internet. 45% of it we paid for with our own taxes in subsidizing the companies that put these landlines in. So it's a complete myth that they think that we can't control China's connection to our internet. We can turn it off, folks. And China's Dragonfly, their experiment now to control everybody with a credit score system, it's already in America. And in another broadcast coming up, we're going to have Michael discuss that.
That's right. That proof has just been unearthed, and the Senate knew about it since 2013.
So this is just another chance for them to tighten up that digital box they're putting you in, so that they're going to tell you, after they, of course, assess you, surveil you, target you and attack you, they're going to tell you what to think. They're going to tell you what to buy. They're going to tell you, sorry, your credit score isn't high enough. You've been talking to Thomas Paine in the ass of the globalists, and therefore your credit score lost 5,000 points, and now you can't even, we took some money out of your bank account. We hope you don't mind, because when we ripped off all of these companies like Experian and Equifax, and when we ripped off all the data from the government, they put it into one system. And that system is the same type of system that they're using in China now to completely control them through digital totalitarianism. So, Sir Timothy Berners-Lee, we don't believe you. You need a better story. Then, if we're really like smart like Eric Schmidt, shouldn't we be buying whatever stock Sir Timothy Berners-Lee is selling, because it's going to be the CIA, rogue CIA stock that just goes right through the ceiling, isn't it?
Well, these PR people really know how to get people's juices going, and that's the only thing that's happening right now. So, yeah, if you like investing based on your juices, then invest in it. If you invest according to your brain, run from it.
Well, I think that you've pointed out that it is a fraud.
That's
so much
ridiculous.
Like everything else that has been connected to this fake, fraud, phony, fallacious fool who's probably British if he's Sir. So why is a Brit over here inventing something that's going to take over our internet, and then he says that he controls where it's going to be decentralized to? Well, hello. First off, you can't do that. Second off, that sounds like a form of digital fascism, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of makes President Xi of China look like a lightweight when it comes to totalitarian digital control of people. So, Sir Timothy, we don't believe you, and we're not going to use your new system. So, thanks a lot, but we see that it's a false flag, and we're not going there. Thank you, Michael.
Well, he needs to stop lying to us.
Exactly. And thank you, Michael, for setting us straight, because when people see these things, we think we may or may not understand them, but until we get an expert like you to look at them,